Hello peeps, I'm back again. Not had much of a busy week this week. To be honest, the local council during the shutdown, or the not local council where I go mooching, what they've been doing is they've been putting their furloughed council officers on day watch outside all the recycling centres, stopping people going in there when they're full up. That also stops people fly tipping, which means I don't get any goodies. So what I have picked up is this. So if you can see that, it's a rather large pump, a pair of taps on the end. I don't think it was for a central heating system. I think it may have been a pump to boost the pressure upstairs in a house. What with the lockdown restrictions being lifted slightly, a lot of builders have gone back to work, so there's rather a lot of skips appeared on the street, so that's always a bit of a plus. No trouble is they're all working till 9 o'clock at night by law. They're allowed to now, so they tend to be hanging about a lot longer, but they leave the stuff out for me to take, so take it I do. As you can see, there's a couple of brass taps there, some decent copper. I will chop that down into number 1 and number 2. I always cut off the number 2 from the number 1. It's just a force of habit from years and years of doing this. You know, they say about habits being hard to break. It was a song by Foreigner, wasn't it? Hard habit to break? I don't know. It was a song by somebody with a damn sight better voice than me. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. I wouldn't even show you my face. That's bad enough if I sang. Oh dear. It'd be like Mars attacks. There'd be a plethora of my subscribers with their heads exploding. I'd be violently ear sick. I'm not sure ear sick's a word, but it would be if you heard me sing, trust. Anyway, let's get this road on the show. As the Radio 1 Roadshow used to say. Righty ho. I may actually have spanners to fit some of this. I usually have a suitably oversized spanner hanging around. It's only a Rolson that. I've actually got King Dicks, but I wasn't sure whether they'd be pertinent to put on camera. You wouldn't want to see my... Let's not go there. I do love an already loosened pipe fitting, I think. Is that actually loose? Oh, that's just a little bit. Turn that bit. There we go. Coming along nicely for a change. I was expecting it all to go tits up and everything to be really, really hard to undo. Normally what happens when I want to show something to somebody. The rules normally change and everything doesn't work as it was supposed to. Why is this going to go? It was me telling Pop Scraps the other day, righty tighty, lefty loosey, and I've lost track of what, I don't even know what my left and right is. It's because I'm looking in this damn camera. I can't tell which is left and which is right, because right's left and left is right, up is down, down is up. No idea how confusing that is for a stupid person such as myself. Anyway, there we go. Nice bits of copper and brass already forming themselves in front of my very eyes. Haven't got a lot to scrap today actually. This is probably going to be not shown as its own video. This is probably going to go in the archives until I get a few more bits and pieces to scrap, in which case it will be all disjointed and the weather will change and the clothes will change. I mean, you can't tell what clothes I change because you wouldn't be able to tell I'm wearing clean underwear. That's only because I went to a funeral yesterday. Always wear clean underwear for a funeral just in case, you never know. Chances are you'll be at a funeral saying goodbye to somebody and get run over on the way home. Last thing you want is an ambulance crew checking out your skiddies. But anyway, enough of my personal dressing habits. I'm going to go around to the camper later. I've got to do some measuring. DVLA still haven't got back to me. Well, actually DVLA have got back to me. They got back to me because I finally contacted them after waiting 2 months to tell them, look, I am actually a key worker, I'm a carer, I look after pensioners, and now travelling restrictions have opened up a bit. Some of these pensioners want to start to go to visit their doctor, and so I actually do need the ambulance because they can sit in the back of that and actually be 6 foot away from me. But I can't drive the ambulance because DVLA have had my paperwork for the last 2 months, which I understand, you know. Times are difficult. DVLA are, you know, slow, unresponsive, and, you know, I don't want to say useless because I'm sure the people that work there try to do their job to the best of their abilities. The trouble is, They don't teach them how to do their jobs properly. But then that's every government run organisation, let's face it. So, DVLA, 2 months later, finally contacted them, said look, I'm a care worker, I am a key worker. To be honest, I found out my neighbour, who's an unemployed carpenter, had got his logbook back after only 7 days, and I figured, well, if they can sort his bloody logbook out, they can sort my logbook out. And I contacted them, said look, I'm a key worker, contacted them on the key worker contact email, and they got back to me and said, we've had so many emails lately, we're having trouble catching up. Please don't contact us again. Really useful, DVLA, really useful. Yes, that is meant to be a thumbs down. I hope that's a thumbs down. Anyway, enough of my whinging about DVLA and my personal issues. God, I've got enough personal issues as it is. I don't want to bore you all with them. There we go. Now we're going to start getting problems. Now we're going to get to the point where nothing undoes. Oh, bugger me, it'll undo from that end, it won't undo from the other end. Okie doke. I can see me going straight through this table in a moment, he says, as he goes straight through this table. That's what happens when you use a camper van table, or a little table tray, as a heavy duty workbench. It doesn't really figure out. I'm going to have to get myself some ply and sort that out. I think this is definitely going to be archived now, because I've just buggered everything up. Okie doke. Oh, yeah, there's something on the floor. I'm sure I'll be looking for that at some later date and not be able to find it. When I'm having a good wine, one of you can say, try looking on the floor. I should know really, everything always ends up on the floor. That's where I keep most of my things, on the floor. It's a major failing, I know, but trust me, I've got more major failings than just keeping stuff on the floor. Anyway, where was I? I was rambling. No, where was I before that? Oh yeah, taking this apart. What we'll do is we'll whip this apart. We'll separate out the brass from the number 1 and the number 2. Still, I'll take this tap down another notch and I'll take off this little fitting here. So I'll take off this little bit of number 1 and I'll put that in with my number 1. You can leave it in and they'll quite happily take it in brass. They'll quite happily pay you £2.85 instead of £4.50. But if you want top dollar, you have to separate it and take it in yourself. They're not going to tell you when you make a stupid mistake. They're just going to let you make your own stupid mistakes. I see it quite a lot actually. People taking a good bit of number 1 copper with brass, and they do it an awful lot. I've got probably 80 of these taps. If I left that little bit of copper on both sides of 80 taps, I've probably done myself out of a fiver's worth of copper. All that to be fair, if they all weigh up to a kilo, I haven't actually done myself out of a fiver because I'm still getting £3.85 of brass. But old habits die hard, every little bit counts, blah 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 blah. And any other cliches I can think of. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. What are we doing in the bush in the first place? I never understood that. Anyway. Enough of Dirt's cliche show. This is not what you're here for, is it? Right. Now, when it comes to cutting pipes, you can use one of these. Works perfectly well. Put it on, spin it, do it up, spin it, do it up, spin it. But I prefer these little things. They're spring loaded and they only come for a set size. This one, you see there, you push it on, grab hold of it, you turn the pipe and it magically cuts it in half, drops it on the floor, and you lose the very thing that you're trying to get in the first place, which was a bit of copper, which is now disappeared along with a bit of brass, although I have found that other thing that I dropped on the floor. Oh, there's the copper. You see, cuts through it easily. And I didn't lose the brass either because it's still on there. Should have cut a bit closer, but that was just for demonstration purposes. You push it in, twist it, and only lock one way. There's none of this stopping to keep doing up the little knob. Let's get that out of the way. I just find it a lot easier. Handy little tool. I think this is a Wix's item. Opex. Anyway, you can undo the back and you can change the blade. It's just a really nice little tool. Came in the scrap, found it in the toolbox. People throw away the most useful things. See how quick that went through that? None of that stopping, winding, cutting. I'll show you the difference. Right, this is the manual one, which I shall put on. Same size bit of pipe. Twist, 3 turns, half a turn. 1, 2, 3, half a turn. Well, it's about a quarter turn actually. 3. 1, 2, 3, and again. Right, see, fairly quick. But I think you'll agree the other one was easier. If you don't agree, well, you're watching the wrong channel. This is the Agree with Rob channel. No, that's alright, you don't have to agree with me. We're not married. Now, what to do with a piece like that? I'll trim this off, that goes in brass. I'll get as close as I can to the edge, which isn't very close, and I'll stick the rest in number 2. I'm not going to sort of out for a centimetre. I know I say I like to take all the little bits off, and they do add up, but for the odd centimetre here and there, it's simply not worth it. As I say, the scrapyard don't mind you taking in the odd bit of brass with copper on it, because it's worth more to them. Job done. And again, what has a hazelnut in every bite? Squirrel shit. Job done. If you fancy one of these, it's called Copex something or other. Copex pipe slice. You can search on the web. It's just got a spring-loaded wheel. It's no different to one of those manual ones, but it's got a spring-loaded wheel and it keeps the right amount of tension on it. With those hand-adjusted ones, usually you give them to the apprentice. He winds it in so tight that it cuts the pipe in 3 turns, but it kills your cutting wheel. This is designed to keep the right amount of tension on your cutting wheel to make your cutting wheel last the longest. I've had this 10 years. Came in the scrap, never changed the cutting wheel. It's still got the same cutting wheel it came with when it was new. Whereas these ones, I tend to change the cutting wheel once every 3 years, because most of the time I can't find this, which is why I use this. Not only do I use that, I'm so rubbish at storing my tools in the right place. I've also got this, because I lose the blue one. After losing this, I lose the blue one, then I find the red one. And then usually I lose the red one as well, and I go back to this. This is a Monument, made in Germany, 1/2 inch to 1 inch pipe cutter. This was my granddad's. This is my backup tool, but it's a pain in the arse really. It's got a lot of leverage, it'll cut both sizes, 17 and 22, whereas this only cuts 17. If you want a 22mm cut, you need 2 of them. But this is my last line of resort backup. I always know where this is because it's in my granddad's toolbox. So now you know why I've got so many tools of all the same size. Not necessarily because they don't work, but because my brain doesn't work. Anyway, that's that. I've got my number 2, I've got my brass, I've got my number 1. Admittedly, not a lot of number 1, a little bit of number 2. Number 1 in the number 1, number 2 in the number 2. Remember, even though it's got a lot of copper on it, I mean, you could hacksaw this off if you want. You can if you want. I don't bother. I just throw it in with a brass bucket. I lose 5 pence. Oh, there's another bit of number 1 there. See, just so busy yapping to you lot, I've missed another bit of number 1. Where's my scales? See, I've also got 4 sets of scales because I can never find them when I want them. Again, it's not because the tools don't work, it's because the brain don't work. Let's see how much we've got here in brass. And that would have literally taken me 5 minutes if I hadn't been yapping to you lot. Well, I'm sure I found something else to distract me. 553 grams. By the time I've taken the rest of this brass off, there's easily going to be a kilo of brass there. Because we've still got all this to come off, this to come off, these to be cut off with a hacksaw because they're brass but they're on steel, so they've got to be cut off with a hacksaw. And I've got the motor to take apart. So we're looking at probably, well, I reckon about 1.5 kilos. So we're looking at 6 quid in brass. We're probably looking at 3 quid in copper, number 2 copper windings out of the motor. Maybe looking at a tenner scrap price for the whole thing once it's scrapped out. Won't be much more than that. It may be a little bit more, but not a lot more. I don't weigh up every single item I get every time I strip it. I'm just doing it for you lot because I thought you might find it a bit more interesting than listening to me have the hiccups and waffle completely out of bollocks for, I can't tell how long it's been because the clock's upside down. 15 minutes? Either that or I've been on for 21 minutes, I don't know. Anyway, peeps, catch you later. A little quick tip here for you peeps. I mean, many of you out there that have been doing this long enough will know this. But this isn't meant for those people. This is meant for the people that don't really do scrapping and are sitting at home bored. These screws, I'm not sure if you can see them properly. They're brass, in brass. And sometimes they seize up. So what I do is, give them a tap. 9 times out of 10, that will free them up. I could do with some penetrating fluid as well, as you can hear. Because although they fit brass, because it doesn't rust, brass rusts. It's a simple fact of life. Deal with it. I think what I dropped on the floor was actually my WD-40, which is why I'm not going to be able to spray these up. But brass will rust, or at least the copper content in the brass will rust, which is why you end up with the green snots on it. And a brief tap on the end of the head of the screw. See? You see that? That corrosion along that brass screw. That's the copper inside rotting out. Copper rots, copper oxide turns green. It doesn't rot as quick as steel. That's why they use it in plumbing. Every metal oxidises. Aluminium oxidises faster than steel, but the aluminium oxide covering that it creates is impervious to oxygen and it creates an oxygen barrier. So once aluminium has rotted on the outside, it stops rotting. Unless you do like Land Rover did and directly bolt it to steel, and then you get a galvanic response where the electrical electrons, the pixies, as Dave puts it, as they pass through it, they deposit parts of the aluminium onto the steel, and then the aluminium dissolves quicker than it would do as if it just corroded. Every metal corrodes, just at different speeds. Zinc corrodes really, really fast, which is why they use it as a sacrificial anode on boats. When a boat's hooked up to shoreline and the pixies are going from the shore to the boat and back to earth, as it travels back to earth, it carries little bits of the boat with it. Do that for long enough, you end up with no boat and you waking up in the water. So they put on a sacrificial zinc anode and the anode dissolves quicker. Galvanising metal doesn't stop it rusting, it's just that the zinc galvanising on top of it corrodes before the steel inside does, so it lasts longer. Galvanised chassis may last 5 times as long, but after those 5 times you'd have to get it galvanised again. Otherwise then the steel inside would start to rot as soon as the galvanising wore out. Every metal corrodes.